Safety on or near water. It's 7:45 a.m., normal starting time for Carl, John, and Alex. Their job today is to change out a pump. A pretty simple task? Yeah, but today something will go wrong, terribly wrong for these miners. John and Alex went to work on a pump with a sledgehammer and a wrench, only to discover they needed a larger wrench.
Hey, Carl! Hey, Carl! We're going to need a larger pipe wrench from the dredge.
All right.
They yelled at Carl to get a larger one. Discovering the workboat partially filled with water, Carl walked to the edge of the pond and got on the pipeline. Moments later, John and Alex heard Carl scream for help. John and Alex scrambled to the workboat and struggled to dump the water that had partially filled it. Alex walked the discharge pipe to the dredge where he grabbed a 10-foot section of PVC pipe. He went back to where he last saw Carl and began pushing the pipe through the water in hopes Carl would grab it. A dive team later found Carl's body in about 20 feet of water. Carl was one of 23 miners and supervisors to perish by drowning or in a drowning-related accident at a mine site since 1990. Of the 23 victims, 12 died while operating mining equipment. 10 slipped or fell into the water, and 1 drowned while swimming from shore. It's pretty easy to drown, a lot easier than you think. You can suffocate from inhaling water into your lungs, or your throat can spasm when you fall into the water and cause you to stop breathing. In any case, you can't survive too long without air. Exposure to cold or hypothermia is another killer. Hypothermia is aggravated when it occurs in combination with water. Mining is a hazardous occupation at best, and it's even more dangerous when it takes place on or near water. What are some of the hazards that you may find? The list of potential hazards and safety problems encountered while working around water is longer than you think. Some of these hazards include slips and falls, electrocution, dangers posed by high pressures, welding and cutting, materials handling, pinch points, cables or wire ropes, fires, and bad weather. Let's take a minute to look at each one of these hazards. The most serious hazard around water is falling and being caught between a barge and a dock, a barge and a processing plant, or a barge and a dredge. With all the different kinds of equipment involved with mining, you really do need to watch your step. Slipping and tripping hazards include oil, grease, water, and loose material on metal decks. Cables and unsecured lines are also tripping hazards. Electricity and water don't mix. You need to be especially careful around any electrical installations that are near water. High-pressure pipes and pumps can throw people when they start, as pressures change drastically. Welding and cutting can be dangerous if you don't use proper procedures. Liquids or gases can explode and throw you into the water. Materials handling can be dangerous if it's not done correctly. Be careful with awkward loads. Drag lines and clamshell dredges may have a very dangerous pinch point as the machine swings. Cables, wire ropes can break. A broken cable will often whip or backlash violently, often with disastrous results. Equipment fires are dangerous at any time, but especially so around dredges and barges. You can get trapped and not be able to escape, or your only escape may be the water, which is why your life vest is so important. Weather directly affects safety. Fog, ice, snow, rain, and lightning should make you more cautious. Dangers around tugs include slips and falls, rope burns from being caught in lines, falling and being crushed, and of course, drowning. Loading barges at floating plants is also dangerous. You can be struck by falling materials or caught in conveyor belts that are moving material from the plant to the barge. Most important, you need to remember that you're responsible for your own personal safety. Pay attention to your surroundings. Be alert to sudden changes in the mining environment. Your work site is just that, a work site, full of rough surfaces and poorly lit walkways, areas of poor drainage, water buildups, uneven ground, awkward climbing areas, and large machinery, all of which are potential hazards just waiting to cause an accident when you least expect it. The drowning we mentioned earlier might have been prevented if the victims had been wearing their life jackets. Wear your life jacket. It's the law. All life jackets or work vests need to fit properly. The best way to prevent slips, trips, and falls is to practice good housekeeping. Clean up oil, grease, and spilled material. Tie off if you're working where there's a danger of falling. It may take a few minutes, but it's worth your life. Be particularly careful when working around electricity. Providing good insulation and grounding and locking out and tagging before doing any electrical work are extremely important. Floating cables and power cables carried on pipelines must be properly insulated, adequately protected, and frequently inspected. Mechanical bonding and grounding must be maintained. If you work on a dredge with an onboard power plant, remember that in most cases, the vessel's hull is used as a neutral or ground return. People not familiar with marine electrical circuitry shouldn't be allowed to work on this equipment. Light bulbs that present shock or burn hazards must be guarded. Weatherproof lamp sockets must be used in wet conditions or where exposed to weather. Temporary lights need to be guarded, equipped with heavy-duty cords, and properly grounded. Follow all welding and cutting safety procedures. If you're welding, pay special attention to masts, booms, support stanchions, pipe stanchions, or railings if they're going to be heated. Test objects before welding to make sure that they're clear of water, flammable liquids, or vapors. You don't want to be blown up. Check for fire after welding or cutting. Watch out for pinch points. In many cases, the operator can't see you, so it's up to you to make sure you don't get caught. Regularly inspect cables and ropes for wear or damage. Replace defective cables or ropes and maintain the cable, drum, and sheave guards to help reduce the risk of injury if a cable should break. Store paints, thinners, and solvents in fire-resistant cabinets. Good housekeeping helps reduce the danger of fire. Keep oil, grease, waste rags, and other combustible materials in covered containers and away from potential ignition sources. Properly inspected fire extinguishers should be readily available. By the way, do you know where the firefighting equipment is at your work site? And do you know how to use it? Pay attention to the weather. Use common sense if the weather turns threatening. What are some other things you can do to help prevent accidents on or near the water? Wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as suitable eye protection and proper boots or shoes and work gloves. Remember that most drownings occur when the victim slips, trips, or falls into the water. Adequate footwear can help prevent accidents. Clean, slip-resistant boots and shoes suitable to the job you're doing can help keep you from being hurt or worse. As always, pay attention to your surroundings and adjust your steps accordingly. Never jump from one level to another, whether on a towboat, barge, or dock, no matter how small the distance seems to be. Use a secured ladder or turn around and gently lower yourself to the next level. Make sure to face the ladder when you climb up or down. Maintain 3 points of contact. That's 2 hands, 1 foot, 2 feet, 1 hand at all times. This helps you stay balanced and catch yourself should you slip. If a ladder is to be used to climb from a barge to a dock or between barges, it should be securely placed, and the crewman should hold it to prevent sliding during all transfers. Remember to always step over or walk around hatch covers. Hazards such as hatch covers can be painted bright white or yellow to make them instantly stand out as a slip, trip, and fall hazard. The same thing can be done with the leading edge of stair trims, spill rails, buttons, timber heads, gavels, and other deck fittings. So far, we've reviewed ways of preventing accidents that can happen on the water, but areas near water can be dangerous too. Crew or workboats used to transport men and equipment need to be marine worthy. Boats should be inspected for overall integrity and buoyancy. Never exceed the capacity of a boat. Increasingly, supervisors are involved in more and more accidents. Unfortunately, in many cases, it's been several years since many supervisors have actually been doing the work. As supervisors, you need to be alert to the common hazards you may have forgotten or changes that have occurred. Recently, a series of fatalities occurred that were not directly caused by drowning, but rather by some type of equipment failure, poor maintenance of roadways, and operator error. These water-related fatalities could have been avoided by following required inspections and maintenance programs. What can you do to avoid becoming a victim? In addition to following the safety procedures we've talked about already, you can do a few more things. Let's take a look at them. You need to work where others can see, hear, or talk to you. Perform pre-operation checks on equipment. Remove all defective equipment from service until it can be repaired. As always, pay attention to your surroundings and immediately report any unsafe conditions. Remember, working together, we can make safety happen.